Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. I don't know why, but for all of today, it's felt like Sunday to me. But no objections to having an extra day of this beautiful fall weather in Chicago to relax and recharge. So something happened to me yesterday that has really stayed on my mind. I've been thinking about it quite a bit today, and I decided that I wanted to share it with all of you. So some of you might know that I'm actually pretty introverted. It's rare that I will go out both evenings on the weekends. I usually like to take my Friday nights to recharge, oftentimes to create, whether it's writing or doing a video reflection or creating an event that I think would be meaningful. But yesterday something came up that I could not say no to. So there's a woman in Chicago, Val Hallard, and about 10 years ago, she created a company called Val's List. She's incredibly passionate about music. And so one of her offerings is an app that has playlists with music from brand new emerging artists. She also does concerts in Chicago, and every once in a while will host a concert at her beautiful home on the North Shore of Chicago as well. And so I've been getting announcements about these events for some time now, but it's never quite worked with my schedule. And I found out that there was going to be a concert on Friday night, and even though that's usually my night to enjoy time with myself, I decided I was going to step outside my comfort zone a little bit and give it a shot. I'm so glad I did. So this was going to be a house concert with a Seattle-based indie band called Motopony. And the truth is, my music tastes tend to be a little bit more on the mainstream side, pop, hip-hop, R&B, definitely lots of Beyonce up in the mix. But again, in the spirit of kind of being open-minded, even though after checking out some of these videos, I'm like, oh, this really is not my taste, I said I'm going to go anyway. The first thing that struck me was how incredibly generous Val is to open up her home to probably about 100 folks, many of whom are strangers to her. She's never met them before, and to share her passion with these people, which is music and art. And so that really struck me and has stuck with me. And then the second thing that happened is the very first song the band played was actually a song that they had made up that day, that they had never performed before. The lead singer, his name is Daniel. He wrote a song called Val, and it was about how much the experience of staying with her and her family and her opening up her home to them for a week while she did interviews with them and prepped for this concert, how much it touched them. And as I shared kind of my observation of her generosity coupled with this song has just really stuck with me and got me thinking about the ways in which I can be more generous in my own life. So I love that. But really, what I wanted to talk about today is this idea that art oftentimes gives us the license to be raw and real and vulnerable. And I've definitely experienced this recently as I've been creating a lot more. A few weeks ago, I did a storytelling event about an experience I had dating recently, and was incredibly vulnerable. And I would say normally I'm an open person, but there was something about the idea that I was going to be storytelling that I feel like allowed me to really take that to the next level and share some things about my personal life that I really hadn't talked to, even with my closest friends. And I loved it. It was really liberating. And some of the songs that Motopony sang, one of which is called Wait For Me, and it was cool. The band kind of set the stage before each of the songs, and the context that they provided is that this lead singer, he had met a ballerina who was like pretty crazy physically when it came to their sex lives, and that was like amazing, and it was like rocking his world. But then it felt like it was a little too much, too crazy all the time, and he ended up going back to a previous lover who was kind of like that stable, steady, had her shit together type person. But then that got kind of boring, and so he went back to the ballerina. And then he felt himself in a bit of a conundrum. He felt kind of like torn between these two incredible women, but kind of at the same time not really feeling like he wanted either of them. And he wrote this song called Wait for Me, which was inspired by this concept that he didn't feel like he was ready for either of them because he hadn't really connected with himself in a profound way. And again, this idea of art kind of giving us a license to be vulnerable and maybe to process things in a way that we wouldn't. I just thought that that share was incredibly not just vulnerable, but insightful as well. And definitely kind of made me think of some relationships in my past where that might have been the case. And I maybe blamed myself or something that I kind of second guessed after the fact, as opposed to this concept that a lot of what happens to us is outside of our control. And certainly we want to work on and develop the things that aren't. But there was a lyric in the song, it's called Wait for Me. I'll link it up in the notes below. And one of the lyrics was, a girl who doesn't come along because she's already where I'm going. And I thought, wow, such a profound statement. And definitely, like when I think about the lover that I dream of, definitely that being the case. So that's kind of what's been on my mind today. I'm curious if any of you have experienced art allowing you to be much more vulnerable than you usually are, and to open up in kind of new and exciting ways, and what you think it is about art that gives you the courage to do this. Please share your thoughts below. I'll link up the story that I shared at the storytelling event that I mentioned earlier, and I'll link up to Motopony as well, and the song whose lyrics I shared. I hope you have an amazing night, and I look forward to talking to you soon.